Ladies and gentlemen, I have a big claim to make in this video, and it's supported by the evidence. It's supported by the TA and how the macro works. My claim is as follows. Sparing an ETF rejection or a black swan event, I believe that it is exceptionally unlikely that Bitcoin will drop below 30,000 US dollars over the next 3 years. Let me say it again. I do not believe it is likely at all. I believe it's exceptionally unlikely, in fact, that Bitcoin will drop below 30,000 US dollars unless there is a rejection of ETFs or some other black swan event. By all measures of TA, by all measures of charts, analysis, macro ranges, my understanding of TA, I think it's quite likely that Bitcoin has seen all the sub 30K price action it needs to see for the next 2 or 3 years at a minimum. That is a big claim, and I'll trust you hear me out. On top of this, in this video, we're looking at short term, we're looking at Ethereum, we're looking at macro ranges, we're looking at a bit of a fundamental argument, we're looking at my community and the biases my community has taken before in relation to my personal opinions on Bitcoin. Lots to look into, big claims to make. Ladies and gentlemen, hear me out in the video. Let's get into it. Alright guys, before we get into today's video analysis, let's check out the VIP group on Telegram. You can find the VIP information and results group on Telegram. You can find it in the description below. It's free to join. This group posts all the relevant information for joining the VIP group, what you actually get for joining, the pricing information, the free trial information if you're interested in trialing without paying, and then also our VIP results with an 80.5% win rate, which is absolutely exceptional. Go ahead and join VIP. I know for a fact that during the bull market, that's going to absolutely pop off with some profitable trades there. It's already been popping off recently on these upwards moves on Bitcoin over the last month or so. Go ahead and do that if you're interested. All right, let's get into the content today. I do want to start by saying that I find it absolutely quite hilarious to me that, we've got a YouTube channel, which is my YouTube channel. Let's just go through these polls here. We've got my YouTube channel has lent bullish since basically November last year. And I know that sounds ridiculous to say, but it's literally true. I mean, we were calling for a Q4 bottom throughout the entirety of 2022. We called the top at 63K, the top was 69K. We're only 5% out. And the same thing was true of the bottom. We called the bottom at around, I believe, 17 or 18K. The bottom was 15K. Again, not very far out there. We bought our first bags on Bitcoin, the high 17K region. We've been very, very bullish on Bitcoin for about a year on a macro scale. And we've done polls, okay? So this is a bullish YouTube channel, generally speaking. It's logical, but it's bullish on macro. And on our polls, we've seen 2 months ago, we did a poll, what comes first for Bitcoin, 20K or 40K? We saw 20K come first at 62%. Same poll coming through couple weeks later, just a month ago, 58% of people said 20K. All right, do you think that Bitcoin will end the year over 32K? 52% said no. What comes first for Bitcoin? A 24.5K breakdown or a 32K breakout? Just a month ago, the majority of people said we break down below 24.5K. Now, obviously the bulls have been correct, but I'm coming to an overarching point here. The point I'm coming to is this. I believe that, given the fact that my YouTube channel has lent macro bearish for a year, literally precisely a year, it's quite interesting to me how even on a macro bullish YouTube channel like my own, which should technically have a bullish bias, if your audience should have a bullish bias because they're listening to me, we still get in polls that the bears kind of come out on top. And what this shows me, and I've heard many arguments from the bears saying the majority is always wrong, it shows me that the bears are actually the majority and have actually been the majority for a long period of time. Because if you're looking at a bullish YouTube channel like my own, a macro bullish YouTube channel since the bottom, and I'm constantly posting up content that says Bitcoin's bullish on a macro scale. Yeah, medium term, short term, it deviates, but macro scale, Bitcoin's bullish. And even on that YouTube channel, which is my own, you're seeing the bears come out on top in polls. That shows you that there's actually a lot more bears in the general non-biased crypto sphere than there are bulls. And so the bearish arguments of, everyone is bullish, therefore I need to be bearish, are actually completely counterlogical, because in reality, it's the bulls that were fewer in numbers. It's quite funny to me because the bears, and it happens to the bulls as well. I'm not trying to target the bears. The bulls do it as well. Perma bulls, perma bears. They always want to be contrarian, but in reality, they end up being the majority. They always want to be the odd one out, but in reality, they end up being the sheep in the situation. That's why I emphasize over and over again, trust the charts. Don't trust your subjective opinion about what other people are doing. Because at the end of the day, it's very, very difficult to gather a non-biased sample size of whether people are bullish or bearish in the crypto market. And at the end of the day, the differences between the number of people who are bearish and the number of money that is bearish are obviously different as well. You can have 90% of people be bearish, okay, but the market can still go downwards because of the capital differences. Who says that 90% of people being bearish means that 90% of capital is bearish? Money and people are very different things. We know that, especially when we have big players in the market, whales in the market. So the majority of money is not the same as the majority of people. So the whole majority is always wrong argument, I focus on quite a bit, is a stupid argument. But I do find it interesting that even on a YouTube channel like myself, we've seen that argument seep through, which means that about half of you, maybe even more, 60-70% of you watching this video were one time, maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe even right now, bearish in wake of the fact that the charts were macro bullish. And I do want to remind you that you were misled. You were misled by your emotions, and this is a wake-up call for you to start trusting the charts, start trusting the reality. And that's what we're going to get into in this video. So what is the reality for Bitcoin? The reality for Bitcoin is this. Let's start on a macro scale. The reality for Bitcoin is we've made a move above 32K. 32K was our major support zone of a downside, 30 to 32K. We've broken above it after months of rejecting, 7 to 8 months of rejecting, another month over here rejecting. It's a region that we rejected from after breaking down resistance support flip there back in June 2022. That was the dividing line in the sand, that green box. It was the dividing line in the sand. We've focused on it so many times, I'll just say it quickly again. It was the line in the sand between the bull market territory and the bear market territory. We've finally got back above it, and that macro breakout is nothing to be joked around about. And we've seen that reflect in the charts, okay? We've seen it in the fact that we've seen, since the breakout, a huge couple of weekly candles, and we've seen a move upwards of roughly 52-53% without any real correction. The fact that that's happened to begin with shows us that that zone was major, and breaking that zone was major. But now we're coming up to the doorstep of our next major resistance zone. That major resistance zone sits at around 37.5K to 39.5K, and we're just testing it for the first time here. Now, I want to quickly do another thing here with this chart. Let's go to the order books. What you can see on the order books is at around 42K, and it's just actually flipped away from my view here. Let me get it back up. At 42K, you can see in the red kind of column here, at 42K, you can see a huge Bitcoin order, right? Basically 1,000 BTC stacked up in that region. And what that shows us is that 42K is also a major resistance level. It's going to be massively supported as a rejection zone by the bears. So we're going to go ahead and understand that, yes, we have this red box here, but above that red box, our next major zone is actually 42K, which actually works from a charting perspective as well, because 42K is a region which we saw rejections from on multiple monthly candle closes, weekly candle closes, a rejection over here in January 2021. So above this red box is 42K, and that is the next major level. But we'll focus on that when the time comes. The fact of the matter is right now, the major level we're facing as of current actually stems from 37.5K upwards. And so we have a new range on Bitcoin. We've had ranges before on Bitcoin. For example, our previous ranges were 24.5K to 32K. We ranged in that for 7 or 8 months. That was our previous range. We now have a new range. What is the new range? The new range is 32K to 39.5K roughly. It's very difficult to identify, unfortunately, where exactly the top of the range is, because the visual identification methods aren't exactly precise in this regard, but it's somewhere around that 39.5K to 37.5K region. And we're witnessing that now as we reject from that region briefly. So that's our new range. And look, given the fact, and I made this claim yesterday, I'll happily make it again. And I think this is a logical claim. I don't think this is a biased claim at all to make. Given the fact that 32K, the green box on the screen here, was such a dividing line in the sand, was such a factor in this being the bull market territory and this is a bear market territory, was so massively tested for very long periods of time from both the downside, okay, as you can see, and from the upside, I think it's very fair to say that now that we've gotten above this level, I think it's very unlikely we drop back down below it. And I would not be bearish on Bitcoin on a macro scale until we drop down below that level. Unless we drop back down below this green box, I don't see any justification at all to be macro bearish on Bitcoin. Because in order to be macro bearish, you need to break a macro range. And that is the macro range. It's the same situation we had at 24.5K. Exactly the same situation. Let's zoom in. When we were at this region, when we were in this range between 24.5 and 32, everyone was saying Bitcoin's going to drop down, it's going to be bearish, it's going to be bearish. I said over and over again, in order to be bearish, we need to break a macro support. Okay, in order to have a shift in our macro opinion, something needs to change on the macro. So I said, I will not be bearish until we break below 24.5K over and over again for months. Right? People call me an idiot, people call me stupid. The fact of the matter is that's the reality. The fact of the matter is, in order to flip your macro opinion, you need to see a macro development, and the only next macro development possibilities are the following: a break above this red box or a break below this green box. And so I will happily say that Bitcoin is, first of all, unlikely to break that green box for downside due to the fact that it's so major. And second of all, I would not be willing to flip bearish on Bitcoin until we do so. I think that Bitcoin is very much in a macro bullish position right now. And I think the reality of that is reflected on total cryptocurrency market cap. This is obviously a chart that has the total entire value of cryptocurrency in general in a USDT form, and that is 1.37 trillion at the moment. So $1.37 trillion are in the cryptocurrency market altogether, and we can see that this obviously is correlated to the Bitcoin chart. It reflects the Bitcoin chart quite well. It's a little bit lagging, but the fact of the matter is that is broken above its major macro level, which is the equivalent of 32K on Bitcoin as well. The Ethereum chart is something I'm a little bit worried about. And the Ethereum chart is something that I'm going to get into in a second here that is potentially supporting a short-term correction. Now, we know for a fact that Bitcoin is at resistance now because we're testing this red box, this red resistance zone, which is our next macro range. We know that. We also know that Bitcoin has seen a 53% move to the upside with no real correction. We know that very well. We know that Bitcoin has been neglecting the short-term TA. For example, we neglected this ascending channel formation. We broke to the upside. We know that Bitcoin has been neglecting the bearish divergence on the RSI. We broke to the upside. We know that Bitcoin's been neglecting the volume descending in this upwards trend. We kept breaking to the upside. So short-term TA is only so reliable, but as of right now, on the short term, again, we have that channel formation. We broke to the upside regardless of everything else, regardless of all bearish indications of it. Now we have this, the top of the channel line becomes invalid because we've been jumping up and down below it, but the support line of a channel is still remaining valid. Okay, so we can extend that back across. So that is our major trend line at the moment to sustain the upwards trend. If we lose this line, we lose the upwards trend. We go down for a retest of lower levels. That would be healthy. To be honest with you, it would be healthy. We do need a correction at some point. But as of right now, on the immediate short term, Bitcoin is actually in a bullish pennant formation. And it's in a bullish pennant formation going up against a very major resistance zone. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens here for Bitcoin. I do see a scenario in which we break upwards from this pennant formation and retest the very top of the resistance zone and then come downwards. Okay, I think that's a possibility. Or we can just break down straight away, having these shallow retests and then retest this line for support and potentially attack later in the week or something like that, or next week. The fact of the matter is we do have a bullish pennant formation there. I wouldn't give much weight to it to it being bullish, just given the fact that everything else is bearish. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, look, don't be surprised if Bitcoin sees one more attack to the upside, to the upper bounds of this range. But overall, I think it would be quite unlikely, to be honest with you, that Bitcoin breaks this red box without any correction at all. Not that it's unlikely, it's just that it wouldn't be supported by the charts currently. It's very difficult to say what is likely and what is not likely for Bitcoin, unfortunately, because we've just seen a complete neglect for... Bitcoin just doesn't care about the TA right now, unfortunately. So it makes it a bit hard for us as traders to say what's likely, what's unlikely, but if we're taking our regular understanding of macro ranges and macro buys and sells, what we should be seeing realistically is a rejection here, retest of lower prices, potentially a higher low, and then another attack upwards, or even a deep retest of 32K before consolidating and attacking upwards later. That's what we should be seeing if we're seeing this act as a regular range. But we have to wait and see what happens there exactly. I would like to see some more market patterns develop here. We'll have to wait and see, but as of right now, I think you'd be an absolute fool to conclude. I think you'd be an absolute fool to be buying into this strong resistance zone. Like, there's no reason to be doing that. You should not be buying... And this is just objectively true. You really should not be buying after a 53% move in 2 months with no major correction. It's just a stupid idea. So I'm not willing to make any concrete predictions on Bitcoin right now, just given how unreliable the TA has been. But what I will say is that buying right here is ridiculously dumb. And what I will say is that if we're going to act within the bounds of regular macro range breaks, we should be rejecting here and seeing some sort of correction, potentially for even a month or so, or even more than that. So we'll have to wait and see if it's actually going to act logically. It hasn't certainly acted logically for a long time. I mean, a 53% move with no correction is not exactly a logical move. So we'll have to wait and see. But Ethereum certainly does support the bear case a little bit for Bitcoin here, and it supports the bear case because on Ethereum we have this green line at 2100. 2100 is kind of like the 32K of Ethereum. So as I said, 32K is the resistance zone that we faced here, and Ethereum's still kind of facing that resistance zone. It's tested it a few days ago. It's rejected so far. Overall, yeah, we do have a break of a descending channel formation. Perhaps we go upwards. We do also have a break of a weekly chart RSI line. A very brief break. It's not confirmed yet. You know, perhaps Ethereum has the strength to send it upwards further, in which case Bitcoin could be seeing attacks to the upside as well. But overall, Ethereum still is at resistance, so we can't be bullish on it yet until it breaks upwards. And given the fact that Ethereum's at resistance while Bitcoin is at resistance, it would be stupid to be bullish here. So what would I say about my general bias right now? My general bias is that I think it's idiotic to be bullish. I think it's idiotic to be buying here. But on a macro scale, Bitcoin is exceptionally bullish. And until we lose 32K or 30K, Bitcoin is still exceptionally bullish. I want to wait for some more short-term clarity. I see it as highly possible, not likely, but highly possible that we see one more aggressive attack to the upside, potentially 38.5K, and then drop downwards. That's definitely possible. Or we could just go straight downwards. And for those of you who are doing short-term TA right now, the next time that I would take any particular short position on Bitcoin realistically would be, looking at a break of this pennant to the downside, or potentially even waiting for a break of this yellow line to the downside. That would be a nice short position because we've got clear-cut targets down here at 33.4K, for example, for a take profit amount short position, as well as over here at 34.6K, 34.5K. So perhaps in the next video, we'll go over some short-term strategies for profiting in this range. Perhaps in the next video, we'll see some more clarity in relation to a break of this pennant. But as of right now, that's all the clarity I can give you. But anyway, I think it's been an insightful video regardless. So guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and check out the Bitget and Bingx exchanges. I've got 2 exchange partnerships with the Wolves of Crypto YouTube channel, one of which is a global non-KYC exchange. You can sign up with just an email or password from anywhere in the world. That is the Bingx exchange. And the other one is Bitget, which is a global KYC exchange that you can sign up from anywhere in the world besides the USA and potentially Canada. I think we'll have to double check that, but USA for sure. So go ahead and check out both of these exchanges. It's a 15% trading fee discount with my referral link, regardless of which one you choose. Any of them have a 15% trading fee discount, and any of them have an access to an exclusive reward center as well. That's only available with my referral link. So get on a good exchanges. I handpicked these exchanges. I was not given sponsorships by them. I handpicked them for partnership. So there's a degree of authenticity in that at least. So go ahead and check them out. And then also Crypto Academy Become a Trader 10-unit course. If you want to learn how to trade, this is the place you can do it. The Become a Trader course is a slideshow based course, but also has videos and worksheets and also a trading diary for you. 10 units. All the units are equally as important. They go from beginner to advanced level stuff. About 40 hours of content. Throw us an email at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com and we'll send you back the payment information if you're interested. Guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Cheers.